In a world of chaos. LOL, JK.
This will be a boring show.
Deal with it.
Tectonic plates are constantly changing our world in ways we can't imagine.
They're forming mountains and causing earthquakes.
Don't forget they're drifting continents.
Correct, Amungo. But how do these things happen, and what are plates exactly? How about we go into depth, shall we?
Tectonic plates are slabs of rock that somewhat float on the plastic layer called the asthenosphere. There is also the concept of isotopy, where the crust floats on the mantle in a gravitational balance, like an ice block in water that never melts. There are three types of plate boundaries, or where two tectonic plates meet. Connor, why don't you explain the first boundary?
The first type of boundary is a convergent boundary. It's a deforming area where two or more tectonic plates are moving away from each other. Sometimes, however, one tectonic plate can move under the other and sink into the mantle to cover the plate. This process is called subduction, and the areas where this process takes place are called subduction zones, like the Cascadia subduction zone on the eastern side of North America. As for an example, for the convection boundary, the Washington-Oregon coastline of the United States is a convection boundary. Off to you, Jonah.
The next boundary, the divergent boundary, is not a book series. It's a boundary between two plates that are moving away from each other. Imagine the space between two magnets that are slowly being forced in opposite directions. Next!
So strict, Jonah. But anyway, the next kind of boundary is called a transform boundary. This is where two plates slide past each other in opposite directions, and it is usually found on the ocean floor. It's kind of like rubbing sandpaper together, except the sheets of sandpaper are tectonic plates.
Tectonic plates have been affecting the world in many ways. If the rate of their motion change, then so can the production of and destruction of the rocks in the rock cycle. For example, the movement of the plates can cause rocks to break down like grain into flour, eroding them into sediment.
These plates can also move the landforms on our planet. For example, 800 million years ago, a supercontinent of the Phanerozoic eon, Pangaea, formed on our planet. However, over time, the tectonic plates under Earth began to move, breaking off large chunks of land from the supercontinent. The plates moved the new continents into different areas in a movement known as continental drift. The process, if sped up, would probably look like paper breaking up and floating in a cup of water.
Fossils have also moved around in the process of the continental drift. As landforms have moved, they have taken the fossils underneath their surfaces with them, like luggage on an airplane. These fossils have allowed us to figure out how the landforms have connected with each other.
Tectonic plates have also created landforms such as mountains and volcanoes. One such landform that can be formed by tectonic plates is called a mid-ocean ridge, which is like a mountain range except underwater. They occur when convection currents rise within the mantle below the oceanic crust, creates magma at a divergent boundary, and creates uplift on the ocean floor, forming an underwater mountain range.
There is a theory that involves these ocean ridges that the seafloor is spreading away from them. It's known as the seafloor spreading theory, where new crust is formed at these ridges from volcanic activity and moves away slowly from the ridge, as if it's making way for the new crust. Evidence: the rocks that are closer to the trenches are younger than the rocks farther away from the trench.
Tectonic plates can also cause uplift, which is a process where elevations of Earth's surface change in response to certain natural causes. In this case, as tectonic plates crash into each other over the course of millions of years and form mountains and plateaus. Have you ever tried to mush two cookies together along each of their ends? Well, the little hill that forms along the collision line is like this process.
This process, along with other processes, can form mountains. In fact, each mountain has been put in a certain category depending on how they are formed. The three main ones are uplifted, fault block, and folding mountains.
Uplifted mountains form from uplift, of course, which we earlier explained.
Fault block mountains form by movement of large blocks of crust, which forces Earth's crust to pull apart, like pulling apart a cookie. I like cookies. The movement of the large blocks of crust can be caused by movement in tectonic plates.
The final type of mountain is called a folded mountain. These form when Earth's crust is pushed together by the movement of tectonic plates and cripples and folds in the middle of the collision. I'm going to use the same cookie explanation because we all love cookies. The area where the cookies collide are mushed and sometimes cripple or fold like folded mountains.
I bet I like cookies more than you. But back to the movie. Now the plates that we all know and love not only can form mountain-like landforms, but can also form things that go deeper into Earth, like ocean trenches. These trenches form when the process of subduction takes place where two or more of Earth's tectonic plates come together. So imagine that the crust where the trench will be is just sand that is sinking down into one huge crack.
One thing that is related to the movement of tectonic plates is faults, which are cracks in Earth's crust where the rocks on either side of it have slid past each other. How are these two things related? Well, the largest of faults mark the boundaries of tectonic plates. That's how. There are three types of faults: normal, reverse, and strike-slip faults.
Normal faults are created in areas where Earth's crust is pulling apart. The crust has tension in it that builds up until it fractures. Then one block of crust somewhat slips downward in comparison to the other block of crust next to it. So it's like a block of concrete splits in half and one half slides downward.
Reverse faults are practically the exact opposite of a normal fault. Instead of fracturing and one half sliding down, the crust fractures and one half slides up. However, if the block is pushed up and over, then it's called a thrust fault. These faults appear when the crust is being compressed. So this time, imagine that slab of concrete moving up or up and over the other slab at a low angle.
The last type of fault is called a strike-slip fault. Like all the other faults, a block of crust splits in half and moves in a certain direction. One strike-slip fault in the Americas is called the San Andreas Fault. There is another fault aside from the main ones known as the oblique fault, where the crust moves horizontally and vertically so that slab of concrete is moving upward and then to the side this time.
Earthquakes are also caused by, guess what? Tectonic plates! Earthquakes, for those of you who don't know, are naturally caused events that shake Earth's surface. Some earthquakes can be minor, to a degree that they are barely noticeable. Others can be major, to the point that they can destroy cities, like the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. They occur when two blocks of Earth's crust slip past each other in a sudden movement on a fault. This releases energy and causes seismic waves that shake the ground. There are different types of waves that I think I will let Connor continue on.
There are two types of seismic waves, body waves and surface waves. Body waves travel through the inside of Earth and arrive to an area before the surface waves emitted by an earthquake do. These waves are a higher frequency than surface waves, so it is similar to when you record your voice on a high note and the waves that are produced on the waving meter are high.
The other type of wave is called a surface wave, which travel through the crust and arrive to an area before a body wave. Surface waves have a lower frequency than body waves. However, they are mostly responsible for the damage caused during an earthquake. Though the damage and strength of the surface waves are reduced in lower earthquakes, they are similar to when you record your voice in a low note, and the waves on that wavy meter are small and low.
Now, the last that the tectonic plates have created are volcanoes. They form when the tectonic plate sinks into the mantle and melts into magma. This magma slowly goes to the surface through the cracks in the ground. When it reaches the top, it is called lava. This lava builds up into layers over time, turning into rock layer upon layer until it becomes a volcano. Thus, they build up like Jenga blocks, one layer on top of another.
There are four main kinds of volcanoes: composite volcanoes, cinder cones, lava domes, and shield volcanoes. A cinder cone is a steep glacial hill made of loose fragments formed by explosive eruptions or lava fountains from a single cylindrical vent. One of the cinder cone is Mount Laura, located in Australia.
A composite volcano is a volcano made of many layers of hardened lava, rock fragments, pumice, and volcanic ash. One composite volcano is Mount St. Helens, located in Washington.
That's composite, Jonah. And a lava dome volcano is a circular, mound-shaped volcano resulting from the slow extraction of viscous lava from a volcano. One lava dome volcano is Mount Hakone, located in Japan.
A shield volcano is a volcano that is usually built almost entirely of fluid magma. They are named this because they resemble a shield lying on the ground. This is caused by the fluid lava they erupt from. One shield volcano is Mount Ibiza, located in British Columbia, Canada.
These volcanoes also erupt molten lava known as lava. I failed! No, we were on a roll! volcanoes also erupt molten rock known as lava. There are two types of eruptions, explosive and effusive. Explosive eruptions are eruptions where fragmented lava quite literally explodes out of the volcanic vent it comes from, as if a bomb went off. Effusive eruptions are subtler than explosive eruptions, and instead of exploding, the lava flows out of the vent like a thick, sticky liquid such as syrup.
Finally, volcanic eruptions can also have great impact on climate change. During explosive eruption, a large amount of volcanic gases, ash, and other things are launched into the atmosphere. Certain particles, such as sulfur dioxide, can cause global cooling, and other particles, like volcanic carbon dioxide, can cause global warming. It's like you're putting a blanket over you to block the sun and you cool down, or using tinfoil to magnify the rays as you heat up. And that's the end of our documentary.
Yay!
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Whistle, whistle, whistle. Thanks for watching.
You're welcome. And